President Muhammadu Buhari and other African heads of government discussed silencing the guns at the ongoing 33rd summit of the African Union in Addis Ababa. And back home, security agents record more successes in dealing with the Ansaro terrorist group and others. These and more as we bring to you this Monday's edition of Panorama. I'm Ian John. Welcome. Heads of state and government of the 55 member countries of the African Union have begun intensive deliberations aimed at silencing the guns towards creating conducive conditions for sustainable development on the continent. This is in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, at the summit of the African Union, 33rd in its series. President Muhammadu Buhari is leading Nigeria's delegation to the event. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has the report.
Silencing the guns, creating conducive conditions for Africa's development is the African Union theme for the year 2020. The initiative is a flagship project of Africa's Agenda 2063, aimed at achieving a conflict-free Africa, preventing genocide, making peace a reality for all, and ridding the continent of wars as well as all forms of conflicts. Speakers at the event identified poverty, climate crisis, historical injustices, illicit financial flows and corruption, bad governance, and post-electoral disputes as some of the challenges that lead people to violent conflicts.
And by acting concretely on all these issues and their root causes, and by giving the necessary political, military, and diplomatic means, we can silence the guns, and that is the only way we can win.
Ultimately, silencing the guns is not just about peace and security, but also about inclusive and sustainable development and human rights. I can guarantee the full support of the United Nations for this landmark initiative.
Highlights of the opening ceremony was the takeover of the chairmanship of the African Union by the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, from his Egyptian counterpart, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi.
As Africans living in this new era, we shoulder the greatest of all responsibilities to ensure that our wealth as a continent does not become our poverty, that our blessing does not become our curse, and that our endowment does not become our downfall.
Newly elected heads of state and government of Algeria, Botswana, Mauritius and Mauritania were formally introduced and welcomed to the African Union. During the summit, which continued behind closed doors, reports of the institutional reform of the African Union, continental free trade area, peace and security, as well as specific thematic issues will be received for consideration by the African leaders as they continue to enhance efforts at creating the Africa we want. From Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Heads of states and governments of the 55 member countries of the African Union have begun intensive deliberations aimed at silencing the guns towards creating conducive conditions for sustainable development on the continent. And also, President Muhammadu Buhari has underscored the centrality of science and technology in the nation's development process and promised adequate resource allocation for research and innovation. The president was speaking at a breakfast meeting of the Commission on Science and Technology for Sustainable Development in the South, organized by President Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana in his capacity as chairperson. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports that President Buhari also, with other African leaders, inaugurated the new headquarters building of the Committee of Intelligence and Security Services.
The Commission on Science and Technology for Sustainable Development in the South was established in 1994 to help developing countries boost their pace of socio-economic development through the application of science and technology. This breakfast meeting is a precursor to the Accra Forum of the 27 member countries to network, share insights and good practices, as well as strengthen their collective response towards achieving sustainable development.
Technology, is giving us an opportunity, and we just wish we have enough resources to fast-track the infrastructural development but we are acutely aware of our limitations and we are doing our best.
For Africa, the correlationship between technology, science and innovation and the needs of man must come together.
I'm sure that if we commit ourselves and reposition COMSAT accordingly, it can help advance the attainment of Agenda 2063.
President Muhammadu Buhari thereafter joined other African leaders to inaugurate the headquarters of the Committee of Intelligence and Security Services, CISA, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, with a pledge to intensify security cooperation. The building was donated by the Republic of Equatorial Guinea, whose president, Obiang Nguema Basogo, performed the inauguration ceremony. The chairperson of CISA and Director General, Nigeria's National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ahmad Rufai Abubakar, described the building as a product of vision, generosity, partnership, and African solidarity.
Today, the dream of a befitting headquarters for CISA has become a reality. With this, we recommit ourselves to the collective task of making Africa safe and stable, while also continuing to work for global peace and security.
The Committee of Intelligence and Security Services of Africa, CISA, was established in Abuja 16 years ago to build bridges of cooperation, collaboration, brotherhood, and solidarity towards confronting emerging security challenges facing the African continent. From Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari joined President Obiang Nguema Basogo of Equatorial Guinea, Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, and other African leaders to inaugurate the headquarters of the Committee of Intelligence and Security Services, CISA, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, with a pledge to intensify security cooperation. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the side event of the inauguration of the head office building donated by the Republic of Equatorial Guinea took place on the margins of the 33rd AU Summit. The chairperson of CISA and Director General of the National Intelligence Agency of Nigeria, Ambassador Ahmed Rufai Abubakar, described the building as a product of vision, generosity, partnership, and African solidarity. President Buhari thanks the President of Equatorial Guinea for his generosity and the Prime Minister and government of Ethiopia for providing the piece of land on which the project is situated. The mandate of CISA is to provide the African Union Commission and its members' services with timely and insightful intelligence which would assist them in making informed decisions. It is also a platform where member services exchange intelligence, expertise and experiences while dealing with common threats that affect the continent. Nigeria and Canada have resolved to deepen further the highly beneficial relations between the two countries in critical economic sectors for the benefit of the people. This was the high point of a bilateral engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari and the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, on the margins of the African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu again reports that a Nigerian-born Masai Usiri, coach of the victorious Toronto Raptors at the NBA Finals, accompanied the Prime Minister to the talks.
Apart from sharing values such as multiculturalism, federalism, and Commonwealth membership, Nigeria and Canada also enjoy people-to-people ties, which provides solid foundation for increased engagement. This meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari and the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is a deliberate attempt at enhancing the relations in critical economic sectors for the benefit of the two countries.
It's a real pleasure to sit down with President Buhari of Nigeria, an opportunity for us to engage with a leader in Africa. Really, your leadership and your reflection on the current situation challenging Africa, but also the potential and the opportunities is something I'm very much looking forward to getting into with you. Canada and Nigeria have a long-standing and deep connections and friendship, and I very much look forward to this conversation and hearing your perspective on many big issues facing not just Africa but the world.
President Buhari had earlier appreciated the Canadian government for being one of the biggest customers of Nigeria's crude oil and supporting the country in critical areas of need, especially education. He spoke of his administration's willingness to deepen and expand the existing relations with Canada, which he described as a dependable ally in development. Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyama gives further details on their deliberations, which continued behind closed doors.
Canada is willing to support the efforts of Mr. President in the anti-terrorist campaign. Canada is very keen to re-engage with Nigeria at a more intense level, and trade issues. Canada has a number of interesting innovations and technologies.
It would be recalled that at the instance of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the Governor-General of Canada, Julie Payette, had visited President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja in October 2019. From Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Good to have you back. Now, I have with me in the studio Ambassador John A. Janaka. He's the former Deputy Head of Mission at the AU, and we shall be talking about the theme of the 33rd AU Summit, talking about silencing the guns. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much.
So first, let's look at this theme, silencing the guns. What should we be doing as a continent in tackling this issue?
I think the African Union already has existing mechanisms to address the issue of peace and security. Looking at the African Union peace and security architecture, and within that architecture there are provisions on addressing the challenges of insecurity. Part of the bigger problem has been the African Union having the political will by the various leaders to actually address the challenges from as the inception. They had the panel of the wise that were actually supposed to be made up of elder statesmen, former head of states that could address the issues at their teething stage. It's only when you allow it to blossom it becomes a big challenge. And as it is now that we have a lot of insecurity challenges, we'll talk of the issue, what happened in Libya, how has the African Union actually boldly addressed that. But where we have not been able to muster the political will to address them, then you start looking, saying outside intruders coming in to find a solution for you. African Union challenges could be better addressed by Africans if we have the political will. Look at what is happening even within the Sahel. We knew that immediately there were challenges in Libya, that arms were going to move, because within the Libyan government, the Libyan government has structures that enable them to employ people from other African descents into their security system. So the moment you had that disintegration, the tendency was that the succeeding elements, different forms of elements, wanted those Africans out. And those Africans, because there was no control in Libya, many of them left with their arms. I know there were meetings of the African Union that tried to strengthen Mali and Chad to contain movement through the Sahel down. But at a particular point, since they were nationals of those countries, they were overwhelmed. And that is what has also trickled down.
So what do you think the joint capacity movement should be like now?
What should be is looking at collaboration, strong political will to address them. And even looking at also the prescriptions of the United Nations. The Arms Trade Treaty had provisions for addressing the free flow of arms that get into non-state actors, and that is what is the problem. So if there are strong collaborations for countries that were also part, African countries were also part of the Arms Trade Treaty, and they were supposed to establish a small arms commission. A number of African countries have done that. Unfortunately, Nigeria, as a leader, have not got one. So that also creates some problem, because you have to address the issue of illicit arms that are spreading around. What are those people using? Where do they get their arms? If there's collaboration, control of borders, it will be possible to address the free flow of arms of actually exacerbating the situation.
Okay, so now, as a former deputy head of mission, in your own views, what are the short and long-term solutions to this problem?
The short and the short-term solution is to, first of all, have a collaboration that control the movement around borders. The long-term is to have a structure that addresses the free flow of arms.
Okay.
If those structures are there, because there are provisions for the registration of arms, you know the source, the producer, the movement, and you'll be able to track the movement of arms. And this actually should help the long-term solution to the problem.
All right, so security is a dominant issue, you know, everywhere. Looking at Africa specifically now, the Libya crisis, terrorism in the Sahel, the Boko Haram issue, and of course the Islamic State of West Africa province. What should Nigeria's position be as regards, you know, the security situation of the country, and by extension, Africa?
Well, you know, presently Nigeria is the chair of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union. And that means that much is expected from Nigeria to be at the leadership of driving the issue of peace and security in Africa. And that's, which means that we should also start from here, looking at the exacerbated situation of insecurity in the country, strengthening the capacities of the various security agencies to be able to deal with the situation, collaborating with security agencies of our neighboring countries, because most of the problems we have within the country are infiltrators from outside, and you must have those strong collaborations. I know that there's already an existing structure that bring the various neighboring countries together, but we need to strengthen one another, because if there is weakness in Chad, the tendency is that contribution to Chad will, first of all, try to address its internal crisis before coming into that umbrella body that addresses the whole thing. So there is need for stronger collaboration among the Nigeria to lead that, and Nigeria to actually, be a big brother, cost some money. We should also be able to put down some resources to be able to address that within, along with our neighbors.
All right, thank you so much, John A. Janaka, former Deputy Head of Mission at the AU. Ambassador John A. Janaka, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, moving on now. The third Nigeria International Petroleum Summit, NIPS, has kicked off in Abuja. The Nigeria's Pan-African event is designed as a meeting place for the oil and gas industry to introduce new technologies and share ideas for the development of new strategies to move the sector forward. Our correspondent, Lydia Sampson, is standing by to give us more insight on the opening of the event. Lydia, what is the outlook for NIPS 2020?
Thank you, Studio. The first and second editions of NIPS, held in 2018 and 2019 respectively, was applauded as attracting high-level attendance from across the continent and beyond. NIPS 2020 will consolidate on successes recorded as well as focus on technology, knowledge, sustainability and partnership to enhance inflow of foreign investment as well as improving success rates of indigenous business engagement. Of course, the usual networking for key political players, industry specialists and leaders in the private sector on the sideline will hold. It's back to you in the studios.
Many thanks, Lydia. Moving on, the sustained onslaught against terrorist locations in the northeast by the Nigerian Air Force NAF under the auspices of Operation Rattlesnake 3 has recorded another major success with the neutralization of some key Boko Haram terrorist leaders at Alafa Yagayaga on the fringes of the Sambisa forest in Borno State. This was achieved on the 8th of February 2020 when fighter jets dispatched by the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole obliterated a compound in a settlement where the leaders had assembled for a meeting. A statement from the Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Ibukule Daramola, says the airstrike was executed on the heels of credible intelligence reports indicating that the BHT leaders had converged at the target compound for a meeting over the weekend. Intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance mission, which confirmed the meeting venue, also observed several BHTs in and around other buildings in the vicinity of the compound. Bombs from the detailed attack aircraft scored accurate hits on the target, leading to the obliteration of the compound and surrounding structures, as well as the neutralization of their BHT occupants. The NAF, operating in consonance with surface forces, will sustain its air campaign to shape the battle space in the northeast for effective conduct of further ground and air operations. Following sustained mop-up operations by police operatives at the operational basis of the Ansaro terrorist group in Kuduru Forest, Birini Gwari 3, more members of the terror group have been arrested. This brings the number of persons arrested to 8. In a statement by the Nigerian Air Force, the suspects are already assisting police investigators with useful information relating to the membership spread and makeup, criminal and operational records, logistics and general modus operandi of the terror group. Preliminary investigation reveals that the arrested suspects were actively involved in the recent attack and attempted kidnap of the Emir of Potiskum that resulted in the gruesome killing of the Emir's police escorts. They were also involved in several other kidnap operations and terror attacks on commuters and other innocent citizens along some major highways, especially in the northwest and north-central states of the country. Investigation also reveals that some citizens, especially those within the business community, gave support to terror groups by deliberately doing business with them through the supply of essential goods, drugs and other services. To this end, the IGP calls for patriotism amongst the people, noting that this is the only way the fight against the criminal elements can truly be won. And away from security matters, now talking sports, Lobby Stars of Makurdi reclaimed top spot in NPFL with 35 points from 19 matches. Amanzi Marcus has more.
Aqua United and Enugu Rangers played a goalless draw in week 19 of the Nigeria Professional Football League. Eyimba International of Aba equally won at home 2-1 against Abia Warriors. Kano Pillars lost away in Lagos against MFM as Sunshine Stars of Akure defeated Ifanyu Uba to complete a week